Asus Zenfone 3 Deluxe. This is the Zenfone 3 you want, now with Android Oreo. Zenfone 3 Deluxe represents a major upgrade to Asus' spelling-challenged smartphone series with a component design and specs you won't find on many other Android phones at this price range. Although the Asus Zenfone V is the newest Asus phone you can buy, you can still find the Asus Zenfone 3 Deluxe on Amazon for cheap, and it's been updated with Google's new Android Oreo software. Here's our updated Zenfone 3 Deluxe review. The smartphone has made a name for itself at Computex 2016 with 6GB of RAM. All but one, the OnePlus 3T, of our best phones ended 2016 with 4GB of RAM, which prevents slowdown with multiple apps open. This phone also debuted the Snapdragon 821 chipset worldwide, though the Google Pixel and Pixel XL launched with the chip first in the West, and starts with 64GB of internal storage, going up to 256GB. Of course, there's also a more reasonably priced Snapdragon 820 version, the one we tested, but you wouldn't know that from Asus's 821 touting product page. The 820 is in fine print. The Zenfone 3 Deluxe camera puts big numbers on the specs sheet, too, with a 23MP sensor, and so does the 5.7-inch display and a dual SIM, microSD card unlocked phone capabilities. But do these specs compute into anything meaningful now that it runs Android Oreo? Let's explore this phone. The Asus Zenfone 3 Deluxe price isn't very straightforward because there are so many versions in the phone series: Zenfone 3, Zenfone 3 Deluxe, Zenfone 3 Max, Zenfone 3 Laser and even a 6.8-inch Zenfone 3 Ultra. It's now joined by an Asus Zenfone 3 Zoom. At launch, it costs $499 for the Zenfone 3 Deluxe with a 5.7-inch display and Snapdragon 820 chip in the US. The ZTE Accent 7 and OnePlus 3T are cheaper, but Asus's phone has a bigger screen and longer battery life. You would have paid $799 for the Asus Zenfone 3 Deluxe Special Edition to get the faster Snapdragon 821 chip, and there's also a $369 deal for Zenfone 3 Deluxe, but buyer beware, it has a 5.5-inch screen and slower Snapdragon 625 chip. All of the prices have been reduced in 2018 since the Zenfone 3 Deluxe launched. The Asus Zenfone 3 Deluxe hasn't launched in the UK, but with direct conversion at about £403, it'll likely cost you between £450 and £499 if ever it does. In Australia, it works out to about $659 Australian dollars. The Asus Zenfone 3 Deluxe is being touted as the world's first full-metal unibody phone with an invisible antenna design, and that's technically true. Apple's aluminum iPhone 7 still has antenna lines, and while LG G5 makes them invisible, it has a gap for modular add-ons. It isn't really unibody. Samsung Galaxy S7 Edge is made of glass. That leaves the Zenfone 3 Deluxe to steal some thunder with a sleek look of its own. The matte gold version we've been testing does just that with a seamless, sometimes slippery back. What's most striking about this metal phone that it's a vast improvement over the Asus Zenfone 2. It does away with the cheap plastic that made Zenfone 2's design downright unlikable. As much as we dug this predecessor's specs into software customizations, it felt shoddy. Like, not even good plastic. This new Zenfone 3 Deluxe design rights that wrong. The Zenfone 3 Deluxe measures 156.4 by 77.4 by 7.5 mm, which doesn't make it as slim as the ultra-thin Nexus 6P, 7.3 mm thin, but it's close and, when testing it, this phone felt better than the thicker, non-deluxe Zenfone 3, 7.7 mm thin, that's never coming to the West. The power button and volume rocker are now on the right side, instead of the back, while an oddly shaped rectangular fingerprint sensor pad remains on back. You don't actually press it in. Capacitive soft buttons line the phone's bottom face, with home, back and recent. It goes against the trend of using purely on-screen buttons or including a physical home button on front. It doesn't use on-screen buttons, which have become popular for helping minimizing bezels and expanding screen sizes. Samsung just took that route on the Samsung Galaxy S8 and Galaxy S8 Plus. But Asus's buttons are at least always at the ready and never vanish at the worst possible moment. Many people prefer this.